Welcome, friend, to Dream Bites, a podcast where the magic of storytelling meets the power of imagination. Each episode is a warm invitation to explore a world unlike any other, carefully crafted to transport you to new realms of wonder. So, find a cozy spot, settle in, and let the friendly voice of our narrator be your guide on this exciting adventure. And now, dear listener, it's time to embark on today's delightful story.
The Gravity of Love. Chapter 1. A Strange New World. Daniel blinked, his vision slowly adjusting to the alien landscape before him. The last thing he remembered was working late in his lab, consumed by an equation that danced just out of reach. But now, he found himself standing in a world that defied all known laws of physics. The ground beneath his feet was spongy and pulsed with a faint luminescence. The sky swirled with pastel hues that shimmered like an aurora. In the distance, towering structures twisted and curved in ways that seemed to mock gravity. As Daniel took a tentative step forward, he felt an inexplicable tug in his chest, as if an invisible force was pulling him off balance. He stumbled, his scientific mind racing to make sense of this peculiar sensation. "Careful," a gentle voice called out. "It takes some getting used to." Daniel turned to see a woman approaching him, her movements fluid and graceful despite the strange gravitational anomalies. She had silvery hair that flowed like liquid mercury, and eyes that sparkled with curiosity. "Who are you?" Daniel asked, his voice tinged with both wonder and apprehension. "I'm Elara," she replied with a warm smile. "And you're not from around here, are you?" Daniel shook his head, still trying to wrap his mind around his surroundings. "Where is here exactly?" Elara's expression turned thoughtful. "That's a bit complicated. Let's just say you've stumbled into a universe quite different from your own." As they walked, Daniel noticed the way objects and people seemed to drift towards each other, as if pulled by some unseen force. He observed how some individuals maintained a careful distance, while others allowed themselves to be drawn closer together. Elara noticed his fascination and explained, "In our world, emotions have a tangible effect on gravity. The stronger the feeling, the greater the pull." Daniel's mind reeled at the implications. A world where love and attraction could alter the fabric of reality. It was both beautiful and terrifying. "So, emotions are regulated here?" he asked, recalling the hesitant interactions he'd observed. Elara nodded, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "We have to be careful. Unchecked emotions can cause imbalances that threaten the stability of our society." As they continued their journey, Daniel found himself drawn to Elara in ways he couldn't fully explain. He felt a growing connection, a pull that went beyond mere attraction, as if their very essences were somehow intertwined. But in a world where love was a force to be reckoned with, Daniel knew that navigating this strange new reality would be his greatest challenge yet. Chapter 2. The Weight of Attraction. As Daniel and Elara navigated the shimmering streets, a peculiar energy seemed to envelop them. Each step brought them closer, as if an invisible force conspired to maintain their proximity. Daniel couldn't help but marvel at Elara's ethereal grace, her movements defying the bizarre gravitational forces that govern this alien world. "How do you manage it?" Daniel asked, his voice laced with equal parts curiosity and admiration. "Adapting to these anomalies." Elara met his gaze, a glimmer of mischief dancing in her eyes. "Practice," she replied, her voice carrying a melodic lilt, "and an understanding that emotions carry weight here. They're not mere abstract notions, but tangible forces that shape our reality." As if on cue, a nearby couple stumbled, their bodies drawn together like opposing poles of a magnet. Laughter escaped their lips as they regained composure, yet their lingering glances betrayed an unspoken yearning. "Incredible," Daniel breathed, "and unnerving. How do you maintain order when love itself can disrupt one's equilibrium?" A shadow passed over Elara's features, her brow furrowing ever so slightly. "It's a delicate balance," she confessed. "Our society has erected safeguards, laws and customs that regulate emotional expression. Unbridled passion, left unchecked, can unravel the very essence of our world." Daniel nodded, attempting to reconcile this revelation with his own reality. A realm where love was an intimate, personal affair. Here it manifested as a primal force, raw and untamed. As they walked on, Daniel grew increasingly attuned to the nascent attraction blossoming between them. It was a palpable presence, an invisible tether that seemed to strengthen with each shared glance, each accidental brush of skin against skin. He sought to suppress it, to focus on unravelling the mysteries of this world, but found his resolve eroding with each passing moment. Elara, astute and perceptive, sensed his inner turmoil. She laid a comforting hand on his arm, the contact sending an electric jolt coursing through his being. "It's all right," she soothed. "Your feelings are valid, a natural consequence of our universe's mechanics, but we must proceed with caution, lest we succumb to the temptation of unrestrained emotion." Daniel swallowed hard, a lump forming in his throat. Her words rang true, but the prospect of denying their burgeoning connection seemed an impossible feat. Their path led them to a secluded courtyard, the air heavy with the fragrance of alien flora. At its centre stood an imposing sculpture, two figures locked in an eternal dance, their forms intertwined. As Daniel observed, the figures seemed to shift imperceptibly, the negative space between them diminishing until they appeared to meld into a single entity. "What is this place?" he whispered, awestruck. "A testament," Elara replied, her voice tinged with melancholy, "to the allure and peril of love. The sculptors understood that sometimes the truest expression of devotion lies in restraint, in preserving the balance no matter the personal cost." As Daniel lost himself in Elara's gaze, he felt an all-consuming wave of emotion crash over him. It was a love so profound, so visceral, that it seemed to permeate every fibre of his being. In that instant, he understood with startling clarity that he would go to any lengths to explore the depths of their connection. Yet even as this realization took hold, a flicker of doubt emerged. In a universe where love held sway over the physical realm, where unchecked passion could sow chaos, they would need to chart their course with the utmost care. Theirs would be a delicate dance, a constant balancing act between the dictates of the heart and the needs of this fragile world. As they stood hand in hand, Daniel felt a renewed sense of purpose. Come what may, he would weather the storms of this alien landscape with Elara at his side. Together, they would navigate the treacherous waters of emotion and physics alike, and in so doing, perhaps uncover a love that transcended the very laws of the universe itself. Chapter 3. Gravity's Rebels. As the weight of their newfound love pressed upon them, Daniel and Elara knew they could no longer ignore the unease that followed them through the shimmering streets. The very air seemed to vibrate with the tension of their bond, a palpable force that drew the attention of all those around them. "We can't go on like this," Elara said, her voice trembling. "The authorities will soon take notice, and the consequences could be severe." Daniel nodded, his brow furrowed with concern. He had seen the way the world reacted to their love, the physical anomalies that manifested in their presence. Their connection, so pure and powerful, was becoming a disruptive influence in this carefully balanced society. "What can we do?" he asked, taking Elara's hand in his own. "I can't bear the thought of being apart from you, but I also don't want to cause harm." Elara was silent for a moment, deep in thought. "There are whispers," she said at last, "of ancient texts that could hold the key to understanding the true nature of love in our universe. If we could find them, perhaps we could prove that it should not be constrained." Daniel felt a spark of hope flare within him. "Then let's find them," he said with conviction. "Let's fight for the right to love freely." They began their quest in secret, slipping away to search for the hidden knowledge. As they journeyed deeper into the alien landscape, they encountered others who shared their views. Lyra, a young woman with fiery red hair, had lost her beloved to the strict regulations. "I've heard of a group," she confided, "who believe that emotional authenticity is the key to cosmic harmony." Intrigued, Daniel and Elara sought out this group of rebels. They found them gathered in a hidden sanctum, poring over dusty tomes and ancient inscriptions. Oran, the group's elderly leader, welcomed them with a knowing smile. "You seek the truth," he said. "The truth that love should not be restrained, but embraced as the balancing force of the universe." Together, this band of rebels delved into the mysteries of their world, searching for evidence to support their cause. They studied late into the night, debating and theorizing, united by their shared belief in the power of love. As Daniel and Elara grew closer to the truth, their love only grew stronger, a beacon of hope in a world that sought to suppress it. They knew the road ahead would be treacherous, that they risked everything by defying the laws of their society. But they also knew they could not turn back, could not deny the truth that burned within their hearts. They were gravity's rebels, fighting for the right to love freely, and they would not rest until they had brought balance to their world. With each new discovery, each secret unlocked, they grew more certain that their love was not a force of destruction, but one of creation, a key to unlocking a new era of harmony and understanding. And so they pressed on, hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. For in a universe where love could move mountains and shake the stars, they knew that nothing could stand in the way of the truth. Chapter 4. The Fabric of the Universe. In the flickering light of the cavern, Daniel and Elara huddled with their fellow rebels, poring over the ancient text that held the key to their universe's deepest mysteries. The air was thick with anticipation as Oran, the group's wise leader, carefully unrolled a tattered scroll. "This passage speaks of a time before the regulations," Oran began, his voice low and reverent. "A time when love flowed freely, weaving the very fabric of the cosmos." Daniel leaned in closer, his heart racing as he absorbed the implications of Oran's words. Could it be that their love, so powerful and all-consuming, was not a disruption to the natural order but a fundamental part of it? As Oran continued to read, a picture began to emerge, a vision of a universe in perfect harmony, where emotions were not suppressed but celebrated as the binding force that held all things together. And at the center of it all, love reigned supreme, a radiant energy that suffused every atom and illuminated every star. Elara met Daniel's gaze, her eyes shining with a newfound understanding. "The regulations," she whispered, "they're not just controlling relationships, they're disrupting the balance of the universe itself." The rebels murmured in agreement, their faces a mix of awe and determination. They knew now the true scope of their mission, not just to fight for their own right to love, but to restore the cosmic equilibrium that had been shattered by the society's misguided attempts at control. As the group debated their next move, Daniel felt a growing sense of clarity. They needed to bring this truth to the authorities, to make them see the folly of their ways. But he also knew it would not be an easy path. "We have to be strategic," he said, his voice ringing with conviction. "We need to gather more evidence, build a case that even the most skeptical among them cannot ignore." Elara nodded, her hand finding his in the darkness. "We'll need allies too," she added. "Others who have felt the stirrings of love and yearned for a different way." As the plan took shape, Daniel felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew the risks they faced, the forces they were up against, but he also knew, with a certainty that surpassed all logic, that their love was worth fighting for. In the days that followed, the rebels worked tirelessly, scouring the ancient texts for clues and reaching out to sympathetic hearts across the land. Slowly but surely, a movement began to take hold, a quiet revolution of the heart that whispered of a brighter future. And through it all, Daniel and Elara's love only grew stronger, a beacon of hope in a world that had forgotten the true meaning of connection. They knew the path ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, but they also knew they would face them together, hand in hand, heart to heart. For in a universe woven from the threads of love itself, there was no force more powerful, no truth more unassailable. And as they emerged from the cavern, ready to take their message to the world, Daniel and Elara knew that they were standing on the cusp of a new era, a cosmic revolution that would redefine the very laws of existence. The journey ahead would be long and arduous, but armed with the knowledge of love's true nature, they had no doubt that they would prevail. For they were gravity's rebels, the champions of the heart, and they would not rest until the universe was set right once more. Chapter 5. Love's Cosmic Revolution. Daniel and Elara stood before the grand hall, hands clasped tightly as they faced the assembled authorities and citizens of their world. The air crackled with tension, the weight of the moment pressing down upon them. Daniel stepped forward, his heart pounding. "We have uncovered a truth that has been hidden from us," he began, his voice steady despite his nerves, "a truth that lies at the heart of our universe." He took a deep breath, feeling Elara's reassuring presence beside him. "The regulations that govern our relationships, that seek to control love, They are disrupting the fabric of our reality, throwing our world out of balance. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, a mixture of disbelief, unease, and even anger. "Blasphemy!" someone shouted. "You dare challenge our way of life!" Elara stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "We have found evidence," she said, holding up the ancient texts. "Records from a time before the regulations. They show a world in harmony, a universe held together by the power of love." As they presented their findings, the atmosphere in the room grew increasingly charged. Some listened with rapt attention, their eyes widening with dawning realization. Others shook their heads, muttering in dissent. In the end, the authorities called for a recess, promising to deliberate on the matter. Daniel and Elara were ushered out, left to wait and wonder if their message had been heard. Hours turned into days as the debates raged on behind closed doors. Daniel and Elara found solace in each other's company, their love a constant amidst the uncertainty. When the verdict finally came, it was not the resounding victory they had hoped for, but neither was it a complete defeat. The authorities acknowledged the evidence presented and agreed to re-examine the regulations, to consider a path forward that honoured the power of love. It was a small step, but a significant one. For the first time in generations, the possibility of change hung in the air, a glimmer of hope for a future where love could flow freely. In the days and weeks that followed, Daniel and Elara continued their work, spreading the truth they had uncovered. They faced resistance, yes, but they also found allies, kindred spirits who had long yearned for a different way. Slowly but surely, their message took root, like a seed planted in fertile soil. Couples began to defy the regulations, embracing their love openly. The very fabric of their world seemed to respond, colours growing more vibrant, the air humming with newfound energy. Daniel and Elara knew that the road ahead would be long, that true change would not happen overnight. But they also knew that they had each other, and that together they could face any challenge. Their love had set them on this path, had given them the courage to fight for what they believed in. And now, as they looked out over a world on the brink of transformation, they knew that their love would guide them forward, a beacon of hope in an ever-changing universe. The cosmic revolution had begun, and at its heart, love burned brightly, a force that could never be contained, only embraced. The end.
And there you have it, dear listener. Another enchanting journey brought to life by the magic of storytelling. We hope that this tale has sparked your imagination and left you with a sense of wonder. As we close this chapter, remember that there's always another story waiting to be discovered. So keep your sense of curiosity alive and join us again for the next episode of Dream Bites. Until then, may your own adventures be filled with the same excitement and delight as the ones we've shared here. And always remember, the power of imagination knows no bounds. Thank you for being a part of the Dream Bites story. See you next time.